2024 Shamrock Marathon, Virginia Beach, March 15th to 17th this year. A couple of quick things to note here. You can see that there is all array of clothes here. We got tights, long sleeves. We got some long sleeves rolled up because it's a little hot. Some shorts. The weather here is going to be very, very unpredictable for the next couple of weeks before we get a little bit closer to our race here. But again, in this one, you can see everyone's bundled up and it just goes and it flip-flops as the pictures go back and forth here. So again, before race weekend, just make sure you are watching the weather and being conscientious of that and preparing adequately for peak performance. This is the schedule of events for the Shamrock Marathon. Friday, March 15th, 11 to 7, we have the Sports and Fitness Expo open. On Saturday, the 16th, we got the 8K start at the 30th Street and Pacific Avenue. Post-race celebration happening at the beach at 28th Street from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. We also have a Leprechaun Dash at 10:30 a.m. Final mile start is at 11 a.m. And then the Sports and Fitness Expo is open that day from noon to 5. Sunday, March 17th, the half marathon and marathon start at 7:30 a.m. Both of those are happening 42nd Street and Atlantic Avenue, with the post-race celebration happening at 8:30 a.m. So scrolling back up here, I'm going to be bouncing around on a couple of these tabs here. This is the race weekend tab, and we're going to go to our packet pickup experience next. Scrolling down here, we have the expo schedule. Again, Friday, March 15th, 11 to 7, and Saturday the 16th, 12 to noon. There is no race day packet pickup, so make sure you are going there ahead of time and picking up your packet. It's going to have all the things you need for race day success, like your race number and things like that. There's also VIP experience. There's a giveaway, parking. Make sure you do check out this little tab here, and there is a map that shows you which roads are closed, where to park, all of that cool stuff. So make sure you do read that. Very, very important one for you to get. They also have a visitor's guide, restaurants, road closures, and an upcoming goodie bag for 2024, which we will be able to see, I believe, on this one here. 2024 finisher swag. We have a little towel and a hat up here. Now, going back to our race website, and we're going to keep bouncing around a little bit here. That's pretty much all it is for race weekend. Again, you can read all that other stuff that we just talked about. Let's go to our marathon and the course information that we're going to be needing for success on race day. So as you see scrolling down here, this is our map that we have available here. This is the start area right here, and I really wish you would stop doing that. And then we're going to go all the way up, and there are water stations pretty frequently out here. I'm not going to hover over the map because it's just going to pull up that little share icon. But the W and that water droplet, those are the water and noon stops. The N in those circles there designate which stops have noon and which stops do not. As you can see, a lot of them have both. I think there's only one that doesn't have both. And I can't find that on the map, so I think all of them have water and noon, but double check that as you get to that expo. Another important one that you need to know of is this goo gels right through there. There are a couple of ones. The first one is up here, and then the second one is further down on the course. I can't hover over it right now, but it's further down on the course there. So there's 2 goo gel stops there. If you do not want to run with goo, make sure you are running with your own gels. It's going to be a little bit more cumbersome, but you will have stuff that you have trained with ahead of time. The orange numbered circles are the numbered mile markers, and then the circle medical sign is that medical tent area. And you are seeing that there are a couple of areas at the top and both the bottom for those medical aids, along with the finish line area. Last thing to really note here is this elevation profile, which is on this side of our elevation map. We also have one that we'll dive into, and that's listed right through here. But backing up to our, I guess I could go on this one, backing up to our course detail things. If we scroll down over here, water stops, approximately over 1.5 miles on the course. Noon, you're going to have Noon Endurance Lemon Lime available at every water stop, and the Goo Energy Gels available at mile 5.5 and 19. Porta potties are going to be there at every single aid station, and running pace groups are going to be available. If we click this and open up a new tab, you'll be able to see the pace groups that are out here. This is our half marathon pace groups, and our marathon pace groups range range from 3 hours all the way to that 5-hour mark. And you can locate them in the following corrals here. They're probably going to have signs up. Make sure you read if you do want to have a pacer. If you're looking for that 330, 320, 310 area, make sure you are running around that pacer or pace group. You're going to have a lot of good supporters over there, and it's usually easier to try and do this with some help from other people, not just doing it on your own. And so this race website, one of the better ones that I've been on, we do have course records here, 226 Luke 2022. We also have 250 Catherine 2022 as well. So 2 years ago now. Hopefully we'll see these records fall this year. Now, let's dive into some nitty-gritty details of our specific race here. Again, this is our outlook of the race here. Couple of things to note. First off, this little neighborhood section doesn't have GPS data. I guess not a lot of people run through there or ride or whatever through there. So we did have to mark this. We did have to draw the lines manually on this, so this could be a little incorrect, but I don't believe it is, if I'm being honest with you. Now, if we balloon this up a little bit, you can see that this is our elevation profile of the course. Pretty flat for the most part with a GPS blip right through here, but pretty flat for the most part. There are going to be some ups and downs and some gradual hill inclines. What you are not going to find on this course is a lot of excessive natural hills out here. It's right by the beach. You're going to have some ramps going over the bridge and things like that, and I can zoom out here and you can see where that is right through here as we talk. Right, you are going to experience some of those things, but for the most part, this is going to be kind of on you. Something that will do major impacts on this course is the weather. Depending on where the weather's blowing, if it's blowing from the water, right, this way, then you are going to be experiencing some colder weather, some colder breezes. If it is blowing this direction, you're probably going to be experiencing a couple of warmer degrees out there on race day. That's not always the case, but that is at least typical for race day. Also, not uncommon for the wind to be totally blasting you one way and turning around to be totally blasting you the other way. Again, totally common for the Virginia Beach area. I expect those winds to swirl. You're going to have wind coming off of the water. You're going to have wind coming off of the land. It's just like a big kind of wind tornado out there. Just be aware that those situations and weather conditions are going to exist, and I would go into this expecting to be battling a headwind the entire time. And if you're not, then that's great. But if you are experiencing those winds, do not get discouraged. Do not get down on yourself. Everyone's going to be experiencing the same thing. Now, because this race is relatively flat, you want to avoid a couple of major pitfalls out on this course. When we do make our start out here, and I've just adjusted this. When we do make our start out here, and this is the best that I can do for a second. There we go. So when we do make our start on this long, straight drag, very big pitfall for you to naturally go into is because you can see so far down the road, you're going to naturally want to just get to the end of the road. You incorporate that with a bunch of other people next to you and trying to get best times and personal bests and chase to the pace group or the one in front of them or their friend or whatever. And these first probably 3 miles or so, as you get up to this point right here, 2.8 to short drive up there, this is going to be a very quick area if you're not careful. And a lot of people do it. They just naturally slide in there. They turn their brain off and off they go. Be careful there. First 3 miles, just watch out. Watch out. Even watch some of the pace group setters pace, okay? It's, again, not uncommon for everyone to start flying there. If it's a colder day, again, watch out. People are going to be running during this section. Now, once you get to this section of shore drive up in here, things slowly start to calm down and everything starts to spread out. I mean, again, at this point, you've already ran 3 miles, so it's a good chunk of distance for athletes to naturally spread out here. And this is the first area where alarm bells can go off, but typically what happens to people is they make this turn, and if there is a headwind, they start to experience it right out here on that Atlantic Avenue again. And then they start saying, oh my gosh, what have I done? I've ran 7 miles, now I have a headwind, and oh my goodness, I got 19 miles left. Wow. Don't be doing that. Watch out. If you do have a headwind on race day during this long stretch, that's even more of a reason not to overshoot this first 5 point, let's call it 6 miles. Okay, because as you start to wrap around, the weather and the wind are going to start to pick up. They're going to start to battle. They're going to start to prevent you from doing the thing that you want to do. And so your effort is going to naturally be higher from mile 8 all the way down to 20. Oh, that's wrong. All the way down to 15 and a half ish. And there's really nothing you can do about it. And you can't really hide from the elements. You can't do that. So this is going to be one of the first races in our running series where I'm actually going to encourage you to be drafting off of other people if you are experiencing those headwinds out on course right during this huge long section over here. Let's draw an arrow so everyone can definitely identify that. During this long stretch of wind. If you're experiencing 20-mile-an-hour winds, headwinds, and you are just, there's a wall of people in front of you, don't be afraid to bounce around through person to person to person and have them cut the wind for you. At 15 miles an hour headwind, anything is going to help. Watch the sand on the ground and where it's blowing, and if you have to off-center yourself a little bit to get some of that drafting benefit, cyclists will know what I'm talking about, then again, anything helps during this stretch here, okay? And just bounce from person to person to person. This is going to be a giant stretch of a leapfrog here. If it's a tailwind, just cruise right through here. This is going to be where you set yourself up for success later on, because if the wind is blowing or just pushing you down the road here, you are going to have to turn around and you're going to have to battle some of those headwinds a little later on, but not quite as much as this long stretch of here. And I would expect a headwind as the first scenario that we talked about. Moving forward, the neighborhood section off of the beach section over here. If the weather is a little bit nicer for you, this stretch right through here in the back, this is notoriously an area where the temperatures do slowly start to balloon up, and they do get a little crazy very quickly out through here if the wind dies down or if the temperature is in the 60s, 70s, whatever. So if this is a little, quote, nicer day, this area out on course, watch out for it to be a very, very challenging one from a weather perspective. And as we talk about the mile markers here, we're going to be going from mile 16 and a half all the way through about mile 22. So again, this is a little bit of a longer chunk than you want it to be out on race day. And if you are struggling, this section, especially this little turnaround section right through here through the neighborhoods, is going to play mind games with you big, big, big time. All right. What I would do is, as you're slowly coming down this, hopefully not so slowly, but as you're slowly coming down this stretch of road on the way out, I would actively be trying to find people to pick off once you get closer to this turnaround point here. Where are they? What's going on? And if you get to this neighborhood section and you see these people shooting out back onto the road before you arrive there, then you can kind of gauge, wow, I'm not making up any time at all on these people, or I'm slowly reeling them in, and that is what we want to do on a course like this. We're going to hold steady, right? And then if we can, when we get to this neighborhood section or this turnaround, then we're going to start to increase that effort level a little bit. Power users, you're going to slowly start to ramp your effort up as you get to this point in time. If you can't do that, and you can only increase your effort, maintain those power numbers through this section back here. Again, this is a kind of a no-brainer marathon course. You just kind of turn your brain off, and the good thing about that is it's just you, and the bad thing about that is it's just you out there. So you are going to be battling yourself. With that, watch your nutrition, watch your hydration out here. If we go back to the map, let's go back to the map, and this is the zoomed in one. Let me zoom out a little bit for you. But you can see aid station, aid station, aid, 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 aid. Every mile and a half there is some aid. If you are hot, use some of this stuff to cool yourself off. Every mile and a half, be dumping stuff on you. If you're not sure if you're hot or not, and you're just kind of in perfect equilibrium and you're going for that BQ, cool yourself off. Okay, if it's a hotter day, same thing. Watch your supplementation, watch your electrolytes. Make sure you're doing all the right things leading up to the race to set yourself up for success. Okay, just because this is a flat race doesn't mean you can totally turn your brain off. It's kind of the opposite. So, actively plan nutrition. Watch your pacing for those first couple of miles out there. Watch what's going on right before shore drive. Watch what's going on with the weather, so are you going to have a headwind or a tailwind on the way back all the way down this long stretch? If you're going to have a headwind, bounce around from person to person to person, okay? Do not totally floor it on the way out, but have the wind kind of help you out a little bit, sure, but be ready to battle on that headwind all the way down. all the way down. Once you get into this neighborhood section here, the running style does change a little bit. We start to get a little more undulating. We start to get the course isn't as open. You can't see as super far in front of you like you can on the beach. And then once we turn around, you do have this zigzag to hit. And again, that zigzag can definitely play mind games with people. And a lot of people just totally blow up right through there, right about mile 23 with 3 miles left. And it's just a mental thing once you get to this little loop-de-loop right when you cross this bridge here. All right. Watch your nutrition, watch your pacing. 2024 Shamrock Marathon. I hope it's a good one for everyone out there, and have a blast. Have a blast. It's supposed to be a fun time. It's usually a fun time. Every time I've been out there, I've had a blast and enjoy the post-race celebrations. Usually one of the best of the marathon post-race celebrations, Say hi to Neptune for me. See ya, everybody.